Actually, I'm not very happy with the way in which the player is limited how far up he can go. You can see that when I jump, I can actually go over the playing field for a while, just for a tiny amount of pixels. A part of my player is still in the playing field, but the top part of the player is outside of the playing field. This is because of the strange place we made our new if. Perhaps some other idea will be to allow jumps always, but on a totally different place. For example, in the update, to make our checks for my y. So now I will write the check, the if, to see if I am too down, and I will see if my y is bigger than 600. 600 is the y size of the playing field, because if my y is bigger than 600, then I should change it to 600. This way I will not allow the player to go too down. And I think in order to prevent going too far up, you should make just the same if and again make it in update. An if that tests if we are too far up, because our if in keyup actually was seeing exactly the opposite. We had an if testing if the player is still in the playing field, so he can still jump. Well, now we can write ifs that checks if we are outside of the playing field and if we are outside, to go back. And now we can see, oh no, I was hoping we can go just to the bottom of the playing field, but it looks like my player is still falling. In order to see if this if is working at all, I can write a console walk here. This is not a console walk needed by the player. It's going to be just for me, the programmer. I'm going to write step on the bottom of the game field. Let's see if I enter this if at all, if this condition is true. It looks like it doesn't happen at all. Well, I'm going to go to the bottom of the playing field, and I actually can see this text logged in the console. So apparently the computer executes the commands in those curly brackets. It executes the console log, and I think it executes this line too. But then why it appears to me that the player is totally outside of the playing field? Well, you can see that the player is haven't gone far down. You can write it's my y, and you can see that it's not 1,000 or 1,000,000. If we doesn't have this if, I will delete it temporarily. If we doesn't have this if at all, the player can go further down, much further outside of the playing field, and he is going down with no stop. When we have this if, the game looks the same way because the player is not visible, but actually he is almost in the playing field. I can again type my y in the console and I will see the value of this variable, and it's 600 now, it's 600 again, and it is not going to change from 600. The player is stuck just here, just a little bit down from the end of the playing field. The problem we have is that I'm writing a condition about its top part, the top part of the player, and I'm placing its top part of the player on the bottom line of the playing field. And this is why the other parts of the player, the middle of the player, the bottom of the player, they are totally outside under the playing field. We need to move the whole player up so that the bottom part of the player is stepped on the bottom part of the playing field. This means I need to find where is the bottom part of the player. Well, he is 30 pixels tall, his height is 30, sorry, not this 30, this 30 says the height of the player, and I should add this 30 to its y so that I find the bottom part of the player. I think this line of code is okay. I hope so at all. Do you see any problem with this line of code? I think it's okay because I see that on the left of the equal sign there is evaluated where is the bottom part, and I say I need the bottom part of the player to be on 600. So I will try this line of code, and the game is totally not working now. Let's read what error statements I have. Invalid left hand side in assignment on line 10. Well, this is my new line of code, and I hope you have all your 4 or now 5 lines of code explained on a sheet of paper next to you, and you already know that I did something wrong on this line. I hope on your sheet of paper with our knowledge explained, you have a good explanations, and you have written in them that in the left of the equal sign there can be only one variable. So this is not okay when we write a line of code. Luckily, now your math teacher can help us, and he can tell us, well, if this is not okay, why don't you write exactly the same thing, but with mathematical change. So this line of code is the same as this for the math teacher, and what it will do is that it will place the top part of the player on some strange spot 570 pixels from the top of the playing field. Well, this means that the bottom part of the player, which is 30 pixels down from the top, is going to be 570 plus 30. Well, this is exactly 600. So apparently, if we know good stuff about maths, they can help us now here. And yes, I can delete my wrong line of code and use exactly the same line of code for mathematics, but changed so that it can work in programming. Let's see how it works. I hope now that my player cannot go under the playing field, but again, he's going under the playing field. And strangely, when it goes totally under the playing field, he jumps back up. This is a strange behavior, and I want you to think about this. I want you to understand what is going on now. You can see that the console walk is happening rarely, not on each update, but perhaps exactly in the same time when the player is jumping. So think about this and try to fix our code so the player is not jumping but just stepping on the bottom of the playing field. There is also another task for you. Make the enemy resurrect after it has moved through all the playing field. Good luck!